Good day. I just came down to bring compost and one of our resident catties is here. They seem to love this honeysuckle shrub, honeysuckle tree. Look, it says, oh, I'm going to go up there. I can scratch it. I can scratch it. Oh. And then as per usual, they show us their bums and walk away. Oh, bless. To be a cat. To be a cat. And I'm sort of pondering what I need to do, which is loads, which is absolutely loads. I've just popped down to bring compost down and just to have a wander and make notes. And feeling a little deflated at the moment, just sort of generally, nothing specific. There's obviously a huge amount of work to do down here, which is actually fine. I can sort of do that over the coming months. I mean, I'm going to crack on with some hopefully later this week as well. But yeah, just feeling a little bit flat, I guess, and pondering what to do next. I do need to move those compost bins, but I sort of need to decide where they're going to go first, because the shed that I'm going to remove, I'm not ready to remove it yet. So in order to extend this bed here, I need to put the compost bins elsewhere, and I sort of think I know where they're going to go now, but we'll come to that another day. I've checked out the broad beans here, which were topped off with additional compost, and can't see any are coming through yet. They must come through soon, fingers crossed. However, lovely to see the garlic. You can most probably see they've gone, most of them have gone through that stage of just being sort of a silvery tip and are now showing their bright green shards of growth, which is lovely. I think another week and I'll take all the bamboos off here as well, because I think they will have really developed their root system now, and I don't think a fox will do too much damage, though of course, you know, famous last words and all of that. This is a bed that I'm going to start on later this week and just clear a lot of weeding, as you can see. And I think what is going to come into this bed at the moment, just for the winter, is I'm going to cover it over and then put the blueberries on top here, and maybe also the bamboo and the buddleia. That's a yellow globe buddleia, because I need to clear this area to bring the artichoke from behind me to next to this one. I think I might actually put it in this area here. I think that would be better. Everything else is growing. I need to get into this netting and really tidy up the brassicas in there. In fact, if we go over there, the netting is quite tight. Quite tight on the growing leaves up here, so I'm going to need to loosen the netting off. But quite a lot of these leaves, you can see, have been eaten, so I'm going to be taking those off, and of course they'll go into the compost. Then moving over, these are the broad beans, super aquadolce broad beans that we originally sowed. These must be about 3 or 4 weeks old now, something like that. Pretty good germination. There's a little gap here, you can see. There's a little gap over there. And I think there's, I was going to say there's a gap here. I think there's a gap there. Here they have germinated. There's a germination there, but I think that's been eaten. And here as well, I'm not sure if you can see that. I think that's been munched as well. But all the others seem to be okay. And I think, again, a week or so and I'll be taking the bamboos up. And moving those bamboos is a job that I really do need to do. But what got me thinking the other day was watching Vivi's video about the roses, the ones that we took as cuttings, a rambling rose we took as cuttings. And I think it would be really good to have roses here to go up the front. So another day I'm just going to tidy this bed and put those in. This did hang up here, but I think it fell down for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it did. And then here we've got that hydrangea that I was given last year. That is just a glorious colour at the moment. I think that's going to go down by the cardoons as well. So if I just swing around, I'm thinking of it going here. So you'd have artichoke, cardoon, and then the hydrangea there. Oh, and I just saw a rat. I wonder if we could see that rat. No, I think it may have gone. Maybe when I watch it back I'll see a rat. But I don't mind. I don't mind as long as they're not crawling up my leg. And lots to do over here. This bed, our fruit bed, I guess I'm not happy with this whole area here. The bed we put in, and then the grass path that we left, and then the fruit bed here. It's just constantly being overrun with couch grass and other weeds. So I'm pondering really how I resolve that. I mean, this bed has been dug out twice now, if you remember, and weeded, but still the couch grass here really does take over this bed. And it's partly, of course, because I'd hoped that we were going to have moved house by now, and I was being a bit less caring, I suppose, or not caring, diligent. I was a bit less diligent in weeding, but hey ho, I need to think about that. Tidying. Looks a bit of a mess, but really needs sort of cutting back. The bed over there needs to be reclaimed. I'd like to do that in the next, well, by Christmas certainly, and tidy up the whole area at the back. But these are the roses that I was talking about that I'm thinking of putting in by the shed. They're a lovely sort of pink rambling rose, and I think it would be quite a good idea to do that. I think we've got 5 here, and I think if I put in 2, then that will leave me with 3 remaining, and the 2 hopefully can just ramble over the shed, which I think would look lovely. This honeysuckle shrub, honeysuckle tree as I call it, I think that needs quite a lot of work this winter as well, cutting back. You can see that, you know, even now it's flowering. You can see the honeysuckle shape of the flower, hopefully. It really is sort of quite lovely, but I don't think it's fragrant. No, it's not fragrant at this time of year, though it is in the spring. But I think that does need to be brought down in size because it's quite encroaching a lot of areas. Another area I need to rethink, just full of potatoes and weeds under there basically. But you know what I am going to do now is just weed this bed, because if I get this bed done I'll feel as though I've achieved something. So let me just get on and do that. Right, that's that bed done. That was only about 15 or 20 minutes, but yeah, I feel good that I've done that little bit at least. After I'd done that bit of weeding, I heard my mum in my head saying, now's as good a time as any. So yeah, I moved the bamboos. I've given this a weed, I've given it a rake level. I think this is where those additional rocket are going to go. In fact, I think I'm going to take that feverfew out at the end as well. Yeah, actually I'm quite pleased I've got that job done. I think it's fair to say I was feeling a little bit sorry for myself and I'm not really sure I've got any sort of great cause to feel that way. It was just the mood that I was in, and by the time I'd had a walk around and pondered a few things and then did the weeding of that leek bed over there and also the perennial spinach beyond it, yeah, I heard my mum saying to me, come on Paul, give yourself a kick up the arse, get on and do something else. And those bamboos have been annoying me for absolutely ages. Oh, there's a stork, not a stork, what they call heron flying over. Those bamboos have been annoying me for ages, and I've been allowing them to annoy me for ages. So when I heard mum say what, you know, she would have said, it's like, yeah, get those bamboos off that bed and then just tidy it up a bit. And I'm so glad that I have done that. And I feel a lot jollier at the end of this segment than I did at the beginning, which of course is often the case. You know, sometimes the work that needs to be done feels insurmountable and unachievable. And if we pocket those bits of work into smaller segments, smaller pockets, and just do one now, one in, like, you know, a day's time, one in a few days time, the jobs do get done. So yeah, I can look at that bed behind you now in front of me and think, yeah, thanks mum for giving me a kick up the arse. Definitely. Right, I'm going to go because I'm sure this is almost like half an hour already. See you very soon. Bye. Good day. So I cracked on with this bed today. I took out all the poppies that might have been harbouring insects in the heads, and I've left them on the far side over there in a bucket vertically, so they're okay. The insects can get out if they so wish. And I started forking over this bed, which needed, as you saw, a really good weed, and it needs to be forked over because of the amount of cinquefoil in there. I've sort of maybe got 40% of the job done, but I'm going to leave it there for, I think, today, but certainly for the moment, because I need to go back to my desk and do some work for someone who's just given me a call asking me to do something. So if I'm back later, I won't pick up the camera again today, but I think I'll be carrying on with this a bit later in the week. But it feels so good to have at least started, which is superb. Right, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye. Good day. It's Sunday morning. Quite quiet down here and low cloud, so I can hear the planes coming in, and I can also hear the rumble of the M4 quite distinctly in the background, and parakeets are flying in. But we've had frost over the last 2 nights. Quite a harder frost than I'd expect at this time of year, actually. It's been a bit colder than I had thought it was going to be. The weather had been forecast to be cold, and certainly they've been right. And you can sort of see how cold it is because these brassicas here have sort of dropped their leaves. You see their leaves are sort of generally bending down towards the ground, which I think is to sort of shelter the stem. You can see sort of on this one maybe a little bit more. Those are usually quite perky, as we may have seen in earlier videos this week. But yeah, those leaves have really bent down to the ground. Then there's some ice on sort of water. I mean, you wouldn't have ice on much else, would you? But yeah, there's where there's standing water, there's ice. However, we come over here. Those marvel of 4 seasons are still quite content. Yeah. So I've come down to try and do 2 jobs today. One is to cut the excess of this fabric away, this side and this side and this side, and the other is to plant some more garlic. I'm not going to be cutting the fabric back this side because this is where I think we're going to extend out with another slab. So yeah, I've got in fact it's in my pocket, I think. I've got a sort of sharp blade here. It's not in focus, but I've got a sharp blade here. It's one of those that the blade comes out like that. So I'm going to do that first. Everything in there, the Mizuna in there looks quite fine, and not expecting any germination in the sweet peas, but they look fine as well. But yeah, oh look, I showed this on coffee the other day. Look at the colours in those. Isn't that quite amazing? Isn't that just gloriously amazing, in fact? I also need to take this away and dispose of it, because this actually came from our next door neighbour. It was in the greenhouse, and I put it here to take home and dispose of correctly, so I must do that because it's not for use. I don't like ants on the plot, particularly red ants, but they are part of what we do. Anyway, yes, get on, Paul. Well, the job that I wanted to do has been done. So I've tidied up the edges and taken the excess weed suppressant fabric away. But boy, was it a far more difficult job than I thought it was going to be. That sharp bladed sort of Stanley style knife that I had just didn't work, and I realized that it was sort of like tearing at the fabric rather than cutting at the fabric. I mean, it's really sharp. I tested it, it's really sharp. But it clearly this fabric needed to be cut rather than, a sharp blade drawn along one side, of it, because it started fraying. And I certainly don't want this fabric fraying. So yes, a job that I thought would take 5 minutes has taken me about half an hour. Because when you cut this fabric, you get that type of edge. Can you see? It's a clean edge. When I was using the knife, the Stanley style knife, it was fraying. Can you see that? All these fibers were being released. Also came across some fox poo, which wasn't pleasant. But you know what? That job is done. So I can be grateful for that. Of course, I'll put the bricks back. Of course, I'll pick up these and the kneeling pad. But as you can see, the job is done. I'm not sure how much fabric of this I have left, so I'm going to keep these offcuts in case I do need to lay them down underneath the slabs that we're going to put a line of on this side of the greenhouse here when I find those slabs. But actually, I'm now going to get on and do a job which I thought was going to be the more challenging job, even though it's really easy. I thought it was going to be the challenging job of this morning. But no, this is the job that proved to be challenging. On the left here is Precosum garlic. I had one bulb left after I planted the ones into the bed. So what did I do there? 4 rows or 5 rows in that bed. On the right here, we've got the garlic which a friend brought back from the south of France. So it's mostly used to a bit milder weather than we get in the UK. But we're going to give it a go. So this one I'm going to split up. As you can see, it's already started shooting. I'd love to have done this a few weeks ago, but I didn't. So I'm just breaking that up. I've got some really little ones there, which I mostly won't use. It's quite small, but we'll put those in. This one here, you've got different skins. You can see this one's this is a sort of purple skinned one. Sorry, I'm not doing that very well. Let's move those over there. This is a purple skin variety. Have no idea what variety this is. I do know it came from a market. Trying to break them up but not damage them. Let me just take this off screen a moment. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cloves there. I think we've got 10 over there. So I'm going to move those to the back and I'll put those in at the back. I'm just going to, we're in the middle, I'm just going to push them in. It's quite soft, this compost. Should have my gloves on, of course. Right, so I might put a bit more compost. That needs to go down a bit more. Bit more compost on there. I'm going to put these in, so you can't see these, but I'm doing exactly the same. I think that's quite a good place for them for the next couple of months. They need the cold, so they're not going in the greenhouse. Though if they did go in the greenhouse, we might get a slightly earlier harvest. But you know what? We can take these as wet garlic, nice and young anyway, as we can with the ones that we planted a few weeks ago. I have to say, cutting that fabric, you know, I didn't expect it to be that challenging. And in fact, I had a bit of a concentration headache, you know, when you really need to concentrate on something. And also because I didn't have my close-up glasses, I was doing it quite close up. In the end, I was kneeling right down close up with the scissors. And I didn't have my sort of close-up glasses on, so I had a bit of eye strain. Honestly, seriously, I thought that would take me a couple of minutes to do those 3 edges, and it took me half an hour. But that job is now done, and the offcuts are tucked away, so I can use them should I need to. I mean, it's a weed membrane, but it's a really good weed membrane. It came from one of the trustees, actually, of the charity, who they were taking up their patio years and years ago. And we went and got the slabs for the community gardens. I wonder if there's still some spare there. And underneath was this membrane and sand underneath. So we took the membrane and we took the sand. And because it wasn't going to be used significantly at the community gardens, the membrane, I thought, yeah, I'll bring some of that over, and I did quite a few years ago. And you know, it's one of those things. It's been in the 1940s shed since I moved in here, and what's it? 6.5 years, 7 years, 6? I can never remember. I think it's 2016. I think I came here. So that's 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 7 years later, it's come in handy. And I'm always saying to people, you know, if you think something's going to be useful, but it isn't in that first year, maybe think whether you actually need to keep it. Well, I'm glad I did keep it, and I'm glad I didn't take my own advice, because it's come in very useful. Pretty tough stuff, certainly. And that garlic is done, so the Precosum is on the Precosum's on the right. The South of France one is on the left, so I need to label that. I must label that up. Yeah, I know, as we saw, that one is white skinned, silver skinned, one is pink skinned, maroon skinned. So yeah, and in fact, it is cold. You know, it is cold. Not sure if you can see my breath, but it is cold. And I'm feeling maybe I'm eating a little bit too much to compensate for that cold. I think maybe it's going into my face and into my neck and onto my tummy. So I need to watch my portion size, certainly. So I will be doing that over the coming weeks and months. But it is slightly warmer now than it was earlier. And what I have noticed is that the Portuguese cabbage that we were looking at before, where we were saying it's protecting the stems, it's bending over, they've started to sort of come back up. And yeah, they're certainly nowhere near where they were sort of sunk down before. They're sort of elevating themselves up and are sort of on a level now. So look, I've what a funny week it's been. I tell you what, that doing that fabric, that's been a metaphor for my whole week, because whatever I've tried to do this week, I thought, oh, that'll take me, half an hour to do. It's usually taken me a couple of hours because I found something a lot more challenging in doing it than I thought would actually happen. So yeah, doing that has been a metaphor for my whole week. I still haven't sorted the bed over there yet because I haven't been down, as I said, but I think I will finish off the weeding of that bed next week and then cover it in cardboard. We've got cardboard in the shed up here. Oh, a bird just flew behind the camera, and I thought, oh, I wonder if I caught that, and then realised the camera's facing me, not facing where the bird was. Right, I'm going to leave it there. I'm waffling on. So if you've got any questions, any comments, please do leave them down below. As I say each week, if you're on Planet Vegetaria, you will have segments that are uploaded of next week's A Week at the Plot as we go through the week. If you watch on YouTube, there'll be another upload in a week's time. Whatever you're doing in your garden, your growing space, or your allotment, I hope it is doing well. Do let us know if you're having any challenges. Yeah, I think I'll be talking about a challenge here next week. And I hope you have a good week. See you very soon. Happy growing.